The world heard her voice before it ever saw her face. For 40 years, Lea Salonga has been one of the most respected voices on the planet. She became famous for her work on Broadway and in Disney films that reached millions of homes. But behind the success is a quiet story that most people never hear about. She built a career that broke records, she won awards that made history, and she kept her private life away from the noise. Her husband protects her peace and keeps her grounded. Her son shared his truth with courage, and it changed how people saw their family. Now many wonder what luxury really means to someone who already has everything. Is it the fame, the awards, or the freedom to live quietly? This story reveals the real world behind her music. Stay till the end to meet Lea Salonga's husband, her son, and see the kind of luxury money can't buy: peace. In 1971, a baby girl named Lea Salonga was born in Manila, Philippines. By 1978, at just 7 years old, she stepped onto her first stage to sing before an audience. Her voice was small but full of confidence. 2 years later, in 1980, she entered a local studio to record her first album. The album was called Small Voice. Her mother, Ligaya, used her savings to pay for the studio time, believing in her daughter's talent. No record label, no fame, just hope. When the album came out, it shocked the Philippine music industry. Small Voice became a gold record, then went platinum. She was only 10 years old, but her name was already known nationwide. Her voice played on the radio, in schools, and in homes across the country. Still, no one imagined this Filipina child would one day change Broadway. Could a little girl from Manila reach the world stage? By 1988, that answer arrived with a call from London, and history began to sing. In 1989, at just 17 years old, Lea Salonga flew from Manila to London. She was cast as Kim in a brand new musical called Miss Saigon. For the first time, the West End stage heard a Filipina voice tell a global story. She was homesick, alone, and missing her family. But every tear she shed became part of her performance. Night after night, she turned her loneliness into strength. In 1990, her talent broke every barrier. She won the Olivier Award in London, then the Tony Award in New York. She became the first Asian woman in history to win both. Her acceptance speech, broadcast from Manila to Broadway, spread everywhere, long before viral was even a word. But with fame came a new question. Can success and identity live together? She faced the world's cameras while guarding her privacy. Few knew her Tony gown was borrowed. She couldn't afford a designer one. Then, in 1991, a letter from Disney arrived. A new world was about to open. In 1992, Lea Salonga became the singing voice of Princess Jasmine in Disney's Aladdin. Her voice carried the song A Whole New World to millions of children across the globe. For the first time, Asian kids heard someone who sounded like them in a Disney movie. It was more than a role. It was representation. 6 years later, in 1998, she returned as the voice of Mulan. Two princesses, two cultures, one Filipina voice. At the 1993 Oscars, she performed A Whole New World, live before the world. That performance became part of history. Her voice crossed languages and borders faster than any airplane. But behind the fame, she fought to stay normal, to live quietly while the world called her a legend. Every Disney song she recorded was done in one take. In 2011, she was officially named a Disney legend. And just as the spotlight reached its peak, a quiet entrepreneur entered her life. Everything was about to change. In 2001, during Flower Drum song rehearsals in Los Angeles, Lea Salonga met Robert Charles Chien. He was an American entrepreneur with Chinese-Japanese roots. Unlike the people chasing fame, Robert avoided the spotlight. He was calm, strategic, and quiet, the perfect balance to her busy world. Their first meeting felt simple, but something clicked. A few weeks later, their first date turned into a car radio duet. She sang the melody, he joined in. It became their song. As her tours grew longer, the distance tested them both. Could love survive fame and travel? He supported her career without ever standing in front of it. Their bond grew in the background, unsteady and private. When it was time to propose, he brought a small pillow so he could kneel comfortably. She laughed, then said yes. In January 2004, cathedral bells rang in Manila. a new chapter began. In 2004, Lea Salonga and Robert Charles Chien were married at the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels in Los Angeles. The place was filled with deep cranberry roses and ivory lace. It was simple, beautiful, and private. Her wedding gown was designed by Monique L'Huillier, one of the most respected names in fashion. The reception took place at the historic Biltmore Hotel, where every detail was chosen by hand. They didn't want a large crowd, only family, close friends, and people who truly knew them. The guest list stayed under 150. When it came time for their first dance, they chose something personal. They sang their own duet together, a quiet promise in front of everyone they loved. But even in joy, a question remained. Could two performers keep their privacy in a public life? Fame brings temptation, but commitment demands discipline. 2 years later, in 2006, another voice joined their harmony. A new chapter had begun. In 2006, Lea Salonga and Robert Charles Chien welcomed their son, Nick. It was the happiest moment of their lives. Lea called motherhood the best role ever written. The woman who once sang for princesses was now singing lullabies at home. Days were filled with concerts, rehearsals, and midnight feedings. She learned to balance spotlights and sleepless nights. Fame suddenly felt small compared to the joy of holding her child. She said every standing ovation ended the same way. She couldn't wait to go home. Her career and her care became one rhythm, but it wasn't always easy. She was raising a child while the world watched. The pressure to stay perfect never left, even when the cameras did. Still, she kept her focus where it mattered most, on family. Once, little Nick even fell asleep backstage during one of her biggest shows. The crowd was cheering, but his dream world was louder. As Nick grew older, the family's courage would soon be tested in a way no stage ever could. In 2020, when Nick Chien was just 14, he told his parents the truth about who he was. He came out as transmasculine. The room was quiet. Then his parents, Lea and Robert, did what they always had. They listened. They loved. They led by example. Lea said later, "I'm proud of my son." Those words became a message of support and strength for families everywhere. Behind closed doors, it was still a journey of learning and patience. They faced a public world where acceptance doesn't always come easily. But at home, love never changed. In 2025, with his parents' full support, Nick began hormone therapy. They stood together, united, not as celebrities, but as a family. The story reached LGBTQ+ communities around the world. People saw courage, kindness, and understanding instead of judgment. Lea used her voice, not to perform, but to protect. And in doing so, she showed that true strength isn't about fame. It's about accepting the people you love exactly as they are. Soon, their family became a quiet symbol of change on a global stage. In 2025, People magazine placed Lea Salonga and Nick on its cover. Their photo was simple, no special effects, no fancy setting, just family smiles. The headline read, "A fierce ally to her trans child." That single line made headlines across the world. Their smiles became a symbol of acceptance. They didn't plan to start a movement, but they did. Parents saw love without fear. Children saw hope without shame. Lea said their story was not about fame. It was about family. They became advocates for understanding without ever losing their humility. Still, the balance wasn't easy. Visibility brings attention. Privacy brings peace. They learned to protect both. In a touching moment, Nick even performed on stage with his mother in Into the Woods. It wasn't just a show. It was a statement that love grows stronger under light. And beneath all the spotlights, their luxury looked nothing like Hollywood's. It wasn't fame. It wasn't money. It was peace, unity, and understanding. By 2025, Lea Salonga's net worth was estimated between $18 and $20 million. It was the result of decades of work, not overnight fame. She had sung on the world's biggest stages, won the highest awards, and built a life of quiet stability. But when people asked what luxury meant to her, her answer was simple: peace. She lived between Manhattan and Quezon City, dividing time between two homes that felt like one. No red carpets, no loud parties, just family dinners, books, and long walks. For her, luxury meant time, not things. While the world expected flash, she preferred freedom. She still folds her own laundry. She still answers her own messages. Her success became proof that happiness isn't measured by numbers, it's measured by balance. Every day she chose privacy over pressure. Fame may demand attention, but peace asks for silence. So what does success really mean after the awards and applause fade? That question would define her next chapter. From Broadway to Disney, to a quiet family life, Lea Salonga's journey came full circle. Her voice built bridges between cultures and generations, but her life built something even stronger: understanding. In 2025, she received the award for Distinguished Achievement in Musical Theater. It was one more honor in a lifetime of firsts. Yet she said the stage was never her true home. Her family was. The woman who once sang for millions now sang for just a few. Her husband, her son, her peace. Her real performance wasn't about lights or applause. It was about values. While many chase longevity, she chose legacy. She proved that talent earns respect, but humanity earns love. Her favorite audience has always been her family. And as the world continues to play her songs, her message grows louder. Kindness lasts longer than fame. But one question still remains: what keeps her voice eternal when the curtain finally falls? After 40 years of stages, lights, and songs, the truth became clear. Lea Salonga's real power was never just her voice. It was her values. She turned fame into family and music into meaning. Her greatest work wasn't written, it was lived. True luxury isn't about what you own. It's about living honestly and loving completely. A mother and son stand hand in hand, showing a new kind of strength. One voice, 40 years, still singing for truth. If the world's brightest voices can choose kindness over glory, why can't we? Lea Salonga's story proves that a true legacy isn't built by spotlights. It's built by love. She showed the world that success can fade, but character lasts forever. Her journey reminds us that fame may shine bright, but only kindness keeps its light alive. Every song ends, but the meaning behind it stays. Because real greatness isn't about being seen. It's about being remembered for how you made others feel. Subscribe for more real stories of icons who turned fame into family. And tell us, what does luxury mean to you? Fame, fortune, or peace at home?